Hello, dearest viewer. As you may have gathered from my content, I'm quite the gamer, and I have the privilege of saying that I've enjoyed some truly amazing games in my time. Games that truly show what is possible to put in a mere game to transcend into a wonderful mosaic of art. And today in particular, I'm going to briefly speak of a couple of these, 4 game trilogies to be exact, and 2 movie series to discuss an issue that I find troubling, both in the gamosphere and also the movie sphere. Namely, once we have reached the zenith, the great finale, the arrival, we are faced with a looming issue as our great foe lies vanquished before us. Where do we go from here?
3. No more, no less.
So as previously mentioned, we will be discussing several trilogies and even some movie trilogies in order to understand this issue of progression after the supposedly final installment. I have chosen these not entirely arbitrarily, but due to my intimate autistic knowledge of these series and the hubris to act upon it. The trilogies that roused this observation, realization, and perhaps tedious indignation were the following game series: Gears of War, The Witcher, Halo, and Mass Effect, and the following movie series, Star Wars and Lord of the Rings.
Or would you like me to find you a box?
As I grew up with these, it is also important to acknowledge the fact of nostalgia goggles, which are always a factor in these works, and I of course will venture and strive to detach myself as much as possible from these in an effort to remain somewhat objective. However hard that may be, I feel that what I speak of is the objective truth. Much like any damn fool on the internet, I naturally believe this all to be provable, though, through looking at audience reviews and the fact that I have observed these works and played them myself. And before I continue, I want to be firm on one point. I am not saying that certain sequel installments cannot be enjoyable, however. I played such games as Gears of War 4 and I found it relatively enjoyable, and it does have good reviews. I did, however, find it too much of a rehash of the older games to be truly different, however. And I am in no way suggesting making a follow-up to a series is an easy task whatsoever. Famously, even John Ronald Reuel Tolkien struggled with sequels. After finishing The Lord of the Rings, he attempted for a time to write a sequel to the fantastic trilogy of books called The New Shadow, but eventually elected against it because it's just beating a dead horse and ruining the ending to Lord of the Rings, and was apparently quite depressing. So where does the issue stem from?
3 shall be the number thou shalt count, and the number of the counting shall be 3.
The issue, I believe, lies fundamentally in the fact that trilogies, or stories in general, have the problem of the main baddie finally being defeated.
Are we the baddies?
Which is the goal our heroes work to counter, to vanquish, and to defeat for good and all. In these 4 great series of games, one common denominator is of course that they are a trilogy with a villain or a villainous faction that strives to, let's say, remove humanity from Earth one way or another. So the trouble then arises when you have an enemy like the Covenant, the Locust, the Reapers, or even the Wild Hunt in that essence, threatens the existence of every man, woman, and child in existence. And after the inevitable defeat, we are left with a question of where do we go from here in any potential sequel? We have had our cake. Every layer of it we may have found something new and wonderful we enjoyed, or some piece or ingredient we found disagreeable but could otherwise overlook. But then the baker comes out with a new cake, promising this cake to be as good or even better than the old one. But we are sadly quite often left wanting. Quite often the writer or writers of these new installments are new to the franchise and come with supposedly new and fresh ideas, but they always run headfirst into the largest issue of all. How do they reconcile that the main bad guys are gone?
Is that dick good? Yes, kid.
What excuse is there to bring in a new, greater or weaker threat to once again threaten our heroes in a lessened or greater manner than they already did? We've already seen our heroes defeat the main baddie of one series already, so what is the point of another enemy arising? It becomes rather insulting that after our heroes have defeated their main baddie and want to retire in peace, A few years later or decades later, another great foe arises that they have to cancel their penchant to defeat.
Somehow Palpatine returned.
Like looky here, Covenant 2.0. Oh, looky here, Locusts 2.0. My god. Oh, hey, look at Mass Effect Andromeda. We got the fucking Reapers 2.0. Whoop-de-doo. And thusly, the writers are forced to rehash old ideas, old tropes, and things that become cliche within the series and are called upon to tell the player, remember, you like this.
Whoa! This is worthless.
What these sequels to our beloved series aren't looking forward to are new horizons, but instead offer the perception of progress, when in reality, the series is stagnant, stuck in old ideas and story beats. So the question is, what are some alternatives?
Right. 1, 2, 5.
Freezer!
3.
What I find to be a safer and better option are prequels or smaller stories that take place during the events of the main trilogy with, quote, less important, end quote, characters. It allows us to enjoy more of the world we care about before the inevitable battle and great conclusion of it, to see the same story from a different angle and through a different lens. And in this regard, I believe that Duncan Egg is a masterpiece in creating great stories set in the same world with an effect on the world without the world-spanning stories, consequences, and conflicts of the mainline series of books. A prequel series that works entirely separately from the main series while still complementing it thoroughly. It is truly a wonderful tale. Please go watch the show right now. You won't regret it. The problem with the prequel angle, however, is that it can easily retread old ground and face the same issues of memberries as any sequel might. But there is a way which we can also further explore an IP which we adore, which Star Wars managed to do brilliantly in the early 2000s. Which is of course the Knights of the Old Republic saga or the Old Republic era, which is a brilliant addition to the wider Star Wars universe and colors the IP with wonderful stories, nuances, and characters. It is still Star Wars, but it is so far removed it doesn't really have any effect of any kind on the mainline series of movies, books, or other games, and serves as somewhat of a standalone piece of the IP. This is very much how I wanted the sequel, or in my mind, prequel to the Witcher franchise to do, which I discussed in my previous video, because at the forefront of my mind is the possibility, a highly likely possibility, that the Witcher franchise will be the next victim on the block. But all of this, my dearest viewer, is of course dependent on who decides to write any new sequel. If it is the original team or someone with a new great idea,
Fallout is a vibe.
it all depends on where the desire for this sequel, prequel, or meanwhile equal comes from. Is it from a genuine appreciation for the IP? Or is it,
We've got to have money.
I suppose in time, we shall see. I understand that the main motivation for the most part is for the companies that create these IPs to make money. But what is often lost as series go on is the more enjoyable stories and the great characters and the soul of the game becomes less and less about the story and the characters and more about the money. Instead of a work of art, many sequels merely become a product, a recipe that has been concocted from pieces of the IPs that have worked, and they are in essence trying to replicate it whilst lacking the crucial aspect that, like I mentioned, falls into the cracks: the soul of the game. Why can't it be that we, as the consumers of these products, can still be gifted with a great story for our money which guarantees us returning for future installments instead of these lazy rehashes, soft reboots, and the pissing on their own legacy? I have no idea. Thank you all very much for watching. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and all that other super cringe stuff. Please do be so kind as to join the Discord if you want to meet other like-minded individuals. If you wish to support the channel monetarily, you can do so by going on Ko-Fi or by becoming a YouTube member. Thank you very much. And as always, a stupendously thankful thanks to all my wonderful Banu merchantmen who helped make all of this possible. A most humble of thank yous to my wonderful Apex fishies of Raptar Jesus, Half-Breed Bastard, and Magic. A stupendous thank you to all my wonderful Sustremmings of Combat Creations, Leduc, Big Kronk, Mouseclick, and Avidri. A consequential thank you to my wonderful, fantastic people of Schmieda, Eifernjora, Sorgi XD, Albatross, and Ignore Me. And a suspicious thank you to my wonderful enthusiasts of Longyorn, Feral Goblin Gal, Bloodix, Monk, and Dave of Yogs. Thank you all very much for the money.